Have you ever been pushed away by someone the moment they started to feel real connection? That sudden chill, the unexplained distance, the warm conversation that turns to ice overnight? Your mind races wondering what you did wrong. Here is the truth you need to hear. That isn't rejection. It's the sound of their defenses screaming. And what happens next will reveal everything. Most people see withdrawal and think they've lost interest. But in the hidden language of an avoidant heart, pulling back is often the first sign they're feeling too much, not too little. Their entire nervous system wasn't built for closeness. It was built for survival. Vulnerability to them feels like a threat alarm. So when genuine emotion begins to surface, boom, the emergency protocols activate. Walls go up. The instinct to flee takes over. Not because you are a danger, but because for the first time, something finally feels safe enough to be dangerous. Their retreat is not a departure from love, but a collision with it. Think about it. They were never taught how to hold intimacy. They were taught to escape it. When real connection sparks, their body enters a state of primal conflict. It's like offering a hand to someone who's only ever known hands as weapons. They flinch. They might even seem angry. But that reaction isn't about a lack of care. It's the panic of a system overwhelmed by care it doesn't know how to process. And here's the crucial twist. The avoidant who isn't invested will remain calm, polite, and consistent. The avoidant who is truly falling for you, their behavior becomes inconsistent. Their emotional armor starts to clatter. They send mixed signals, grow distant after moments of depth become confusing. Why? Because they are caught in a silent war between two ancient needs: the hunger for bonding and the terror of engulfment. This internal battle manifests as hot and cold, advance and retreat. Every confusing action, every passive remark, every disappearance is a scrambled message trying to break through the static. I am terrified, and I am starting to feel something real. Now, this is where nearly everyone makes the fatal error. When met with withdrawal, our instinct is to chase, to soothe, to fix, to clarify. But with an avoidant pattern, chasing only confirms their deepest fear. That connection means being consumed. You inadvertently hand them a reason to run faster. The powerful shift occurs not when you force proximity, but when you become a calm, steady presence. Your stillness becomes the mirror that reflects their chaos back to them. And if real feeling is there, that silence will become louder than any words you could say. It will force them to sit in the emotional space they tried to flee. Suddenly, they're not running from you. They're left alone with the very feelings they were trying to outrun. That is the moment of potential awakening. They begin to see that the threat wasn't you or the connection. It was their own unhealed wound masquerading as a protector. Love, in its truest form, isn't about pursuit or capture. It's about the courage to remain present, even when fear is present too. The hardest people to love are often those who have been at war with their own need for it. You become a mirror showing a reflection of their own humanity they haven't dared to acknowledge. For some, that reflection will be too bright and they will leave. But for others, that discomfort is the beginning of a profound change. So if you've been left confused by someone pulling away right when things deepened, reframe it. See it not as a personal failure, but as evidence. Proof that you reached something authentic beneath the surface. But the critical move is this: do not chase. Do not try to dismantle their walls for them. Let your grounded presence speak volumes. Sometimes the most powerful message you can offer a frightened heart is that you are secure enough to give it the space to find its own way. Real connection doesn't pursue chaos. It provides a sanctuary for clarity to eventually emerge. And if love is truly there, they will have to stop running long enough to see that sanctuary in you. Now observe this fascinating behavior. The avoidant who claims they've moved on, yet orbits your digital world like a silent satellite. They won't call, they won't text directly, but they'll view every story like an old photo, react to a post from months ago, they reappear in the periphery of your life. What does it mean when they show up in these tiny indirect ways? It's not boredom, it's because they cannot get you out of their mind. See, most people believe love shouts its presence with calls and grand gestures. For the avoidant, love whispers in the empty spaces they cannot fill. When you step back and stop initiating, that's when their mind, trained to avoid feeling, has nowhere left to go. It starts to feel. They wonder where you are, who you're with, why the space you occupy now feels so loud. And here's the key. They won't admit this. They won't confront you. They'll just linger, watch, circle. Because the distance you've created becomes a trigger. It reactivates every buried emotion they've spent a lifetime suppressing. The more they care, the more silent and subtle their approach becomes. An avoidant doesn't return with a grand confession. They test the waters with a meme, a comment on something neutral, a random question that seems out of the blue. It's a psychological probe. If you respond warmly, they may retreat again. The fear returns. But if you don't, they become stuck in a limbo, realizing your quiet absence weighs more than your active presence ever did. This is the fundamental misunderstanding, avoidance fear being consumed, not being alone. So when you go silent, their illusion of control shatters. You are no longer a variable they can manage by reacting. Suddenly they are left with the echo of the connection they tried to escape. Their thoughts become involuntary. They try to distract themselves, but your absence is a shape in their mind they cannot delete. You have imprinted on their psyche, not because you begged, but because you withdrew with dignity. In that silence, they are forced to confront a truth. You mattered more than they ever allowed themselves to admit. Your power lies in that dignified stillness. When an avoidance starts orbiting your world after you've walked away, it signals one thing. Your presence disrupted their entire avoidance mechanism. You didn't just touch their heart, you created a tremor in their emotional foundation. What happens next separates those who repeat patterns from those who break them. Some will double down, burying feelings deeper, but the ones who are ready will move past digital breadcrumbs into genuine, if scared, conversation. That is where true change can begin, but it cannot start if you keep breaking the silence for them. You must let your absence become the teacher. Let them feel what it's like to lose access to your energy. This isn't manipulation, it's mirroring. You're offering them the space to recognize what they've been suppressing. Sometimes the only way for an avoidant to understand they're in love is to experience the void left by the one person who made them feel safe enough to be afraid. Don't follow the breadcrumb trail. Let them navigate back to the source. If the bond is real, your silence will become the most resonant wake-up call they have ever known. Now let's decode another confusing signal. The moment an avoidant begins to meticulously control the rhythm of your interactions, responses slow to a drip, plans become vague maybes. The energy feels subdued, flat. You think, are they losing interest? What did I do? But this isn't about you. This is about them trying to manage an emotional storm inside their own being. What looks like disengagement is actually a desperate act of self-preservation. Avoidants are experts in regulating intensity, not to hurt you, but because they are terrified of being flooded by sensations they cannot command. So when real emotions stir, when the bond activates buried longing, they reach for their oldest tool, control. They cannot control their feelings, so they attempt to control the pace. They need to feel like they are in the driver's seat, even if they are steering toward emotional gridlock. You must understand this at a psychological level. For them, love does not feel like warmth. It feels like exposure, naked, vulnerable, and perilous. When your entire survival strategy is built on emotional distance, true closeness sets off every internal alarm. It's not you they fear, it's the intimacy itself, the raw, unpredictable reality of being truly seen. And when you show up with consistency and authentic presence, it punctures their defenses. They panic, so they ration connection, delay replies, create distance. It's not a punishment, it's an attempt to regain psychological equilibrium. If they let the relationship flow naturally, their feelings might take over. And if feelings take over, they fear losing themselves entirely. This cold behavior tempts you to overcorrect, to chase, to accommodate their pace out of anxiety. But the moment you do, the dynamic becomes unbalanced. They regain a sense of control, but now the connection is based on fear, not trust, which makes them feel even less secure. This is the tragic cycle. The avoidant slows down to feel safe. The partner interprets it as rejection and pushes harder, which makes the avoidant need to escape more. It feeds itself. The breakthrough realization is this. When an avoidant controls the pace, it doesn't mean the love isn't real. It means the fear is. The war between desire and danger is raging inside them. Their slow replies are an emotional buffer, a way to breathe. Ironically, the deeper they care, the more they might need to slow things down. Not because they don't want it, but because they're terrified of losing themselves within it. You cannot force them to match your rhythm. Healing isn't about pressure, it's about capacity. If their capacity is low, your urgency will trigger retreat. So what is the answer? It is simple, yet demanding. Respect their pacing without abandoning your own standards. Hold a boundary without building a wall. Do not chase, but do not vanish. Stay grounded, stay clear, offer safety without compromising yourself. This balanced, solid presence is what eventually shows them they don't need to control everything to be okay. When they realize you aren't trying to possess, trap, or invade, you are simply showing up consistently and unshakably, it begins to rewire something deep within. Transformation becomes possible when you stop seeing their shifted pace as failure and start seeing it as a plea for safety from a nervous system learning, for the first time, how to love. Another massive misconception is that avoidants are emotionless. The opposite is true. They feel intensely. They just don't express it in conventional ways, especially regarding jealousy. You won't get angry texts or direct questions. That's too vulnerable. So they suppress it, play it cool. But underneath that calm surface, a storm is brewing. Their emotional radar becomes hypersensitive when they suspect someone else has your attention. They won't confront you. They'll observe. Go quiet when you mention other names. Offer short, clipped responses. Their body language will tense. These micro shifts are unspoken proof. Their jealousy is indirect because direct communication feels like surrendering control. Emotional detachment isn't the opposite of love. Indifference is. The avoidant who grows cold or snappy when your attention drifts isn't indifferent. They are guarding an attachment they are terrified to name. This jealousy is a crack in their armor. It's the one emotion that betrays their inner lie that they don't care. When you, as the aware one, don't react to this jealousy or weaponize it, but simply observe it with calm compassion, you hold immense power. You are not looking at their behavior. You are seeing the root. A person torn between the fear of losing you and the fear of needing you too much. Their heart is whispering, "I'm scared you'll leave," but it comes out as distance or sarcasm. Don't perform to reassure them. Don't shrink. Anchor into your own worth. Become a mirror. That grounded reflection shows them something new. Someone who isn't playing games, but who also won't diminish themselves to make them feel safe. This presence can be deeply healing. It allows them to realize their jealousy points to something authentic. The more they feel it, the more undeniable the connection becomes. So don't be fooled by the silence. When an avoidant shows subtle jealousy, they're not revealing weakness. They're revealing the first fracture in their emotional fortress. And it's through that fracture that true feeling begins to enter. Finally, there is a subtle, powerful moment when an avoidant begins to do something extraordinary. They offer a fragment of their past, not casual chat, a passing comment about a childhood memory, a vague hint about past hurt, a resigned admission that they don't let people in easily. Most miss it, but if you're attentive, you'll see this is a confession in code. Avoidants don't speak in emotional essays. They offer carefully selected fragments and watch what you do with them. For someone whose survival depends on protection, vulnerability is like walking onto a battlefield unarmed. It's terrifying. Yet when love stirs, a part of them yearns to be seen, if only for an instant. When they share a piece of their emotional history, you are not just receiving information. You are being granted access to the blueprint of their defenses, the why behind the walls. And by giving you this access, they are testing the very thing they fear most, trust. Can you hold this piece without judgment, without rushing to fix it, without using it later as a weapon? They have been conditioned to believe vulnerability has a cost. So this fragment is an extension of emotional credit on an account long closed. In the world of an avoidant, trust is the native language of love. They don't open up to just anyone. Many can go a lifetime keeping their core hidden behind charm and intellect. So if they choose to give you a glimpse, even a messy, fleeting one, it means you've touched something unexpected. You've made them want to risk connection. They may not do it cleanly. They might share and then vanish for days. That's not manipulation. It's emotional overwhelm. They feel exposed and scared they've made a mistake. Your response in that moment is everything. You don't need to solve their pain. Just stay calm, present, real. Show them their darkness doesn't frighten you, that their wounds don't make you flinch, that you are not there to save them, but you are also not there to abandon them when things get real. That kind of presence starts to rewire an avoidance nervous system. Vulnerability shifts from a risk to a possibility, a space where their story can be held, not exploited, where their flaws are human, not fatal. Once they experience that with you, everything changes. They may never say, "I love you" in a classic way, but that moment they let you in, that is their version of it. So when you see that tiny window into their heart, don't overlook it because it didn't come with fanfare. It might be the most honest, courageous act they've performed in years. It means they see you as safe, as different, as someone worth risking the story they've spent a lifetime guarding. Because when an avoidant starts to share their past, what they're really whispering is, "I'm afraid of love, but with you, I'm beginning to believe it might not destroy me." Silence holds immense power, but we rarely consider how deafening silence becomes in the mind of someone who has spent a lifetime running from their own heart. Your quiet strength can be the anchor that finally lets them feel safe enough to stop running. If this resonated with you, help support this channel. Please give this video a like and subscribe to Winds of Thought for more insights into the hidden languages of human connection. Your support allows us to create more content that brings clarity.